Today we're going to be working on this strategy called questioning and inferencing. Good readers ask themselves questions. Questions help us to interact with the text, find answers, and make sense of what we're reading. I read a poem last night called This Is a Night by Elizabeth Coatsworth, and it created many questions in my head while I read it. Now I ran a copy of the poem also, and in the margins I wrote my questions, and if I answered the questions, I wrote the answers beside them. But what I'm going to do is read this poem one time through, and you can listen and think of questions, and then after I'm done reading, we can go through and I'll show you the questions and inferences that I had. This is a Night by Elizabeth Coatsworth. This is a night on which to pity cats. Hunting through dripping hedgerows, making wet way through grasses heavy with rain, their delicate stepping tense with distaste, their soft and supple coats sodden for all their care. This is a night to pity cats, which have no house to go to, no stove, no saucer of milk, no lowered hand sleeking ahead, no voice to say, "Poor kitty." This is a night on which to weep for outcasts, for all those who know the rain but do not know the shelter. Now, like I said, good readers ask questions, and you probably do sometimes without even thinking about it. So I'm going to go back and read the first line of my poem and see if you can come up with any questions. This is a night on which to pity cats. Now my first question was, why would we be pitying cats? It says night, so maybe it's dark and maybe the cats can't see. That's my first inference. I don't really know the answer to my question, and that's okay. Sometimes the answer's not right in the text. So we make inferences, which are guesses, based on what we already know to be true or based on the text that we're reading. I'm going to go on and see if my answer's in the next sentence. Hunting through dripping hedgerows. Now I have a new question in this sentence. I don't know what a hedgerow is. I know what a hedge is. A hedge is like a bush. And my inference, or my guess, is that a hedgerow would be a row of bushes. And that makes sense. Hunting through dripping hedgerows. Dripping. Why are the hedgerows dripping? Are they melting? Maybe they're chocolate. Maybe they're chocolate bushes. Maybe they're dripping with paint. Could we be pitying the cats because they're covered with paint? Hunting. There's another word that makes me think of a question. What would a cat be hunting through dripping bushes for? Maybe they're hungry. So we're pitying cats because they're hungry, maybe. Listen to all these questions that I'm asking myself, and these are just the first two sentences. I'm wondering why we're pitying cats, why they're hunting, what a hedgerow is. Now I'm going to move on to the next sentence that says making wet way. That doesn't make any new questions in my head, but it does reassure that the wet way is a dripping hedgerow. So I already know that something is wet. So my next sentence is through grasses heavy with rain. Heavy. That's a good word. I like the way that this author uses adjectives and adverbs. She has heavy with rain, wet way, dripping hedgerows. Notice how some of the adjectives and adverbs are actually helping me to make inferences or helping me to pose some of the questions for this text. So this sentence is through grasses heavy with rain. So that answers my question as to why the hedgerows are dripping. It's raining. And why we are to be pitying cats. Now, why do you think we might be pitying cats? Cats don't like water? That's a really good inference. Maybe they don't have any place to go? That's also a really good inference. Maybe they don't have any shelter. Good thinking. Okay. So now I'm going to read the next two lines, and after I read them, we're going to talk about the questions that you might have asked yourself based on what you know or have already read. Remember, we're not just pulling these questions out of thin air. We're going to base them on either what we've just read out of the poem or something that we already know. Their delicate stepping, tense with distaste. Their delicate stepping, tense with distaste. Larkin, what question might be in your head? Why is their stepping tense? That's a good question. Melanie? Distaste. What does distaste mean? I bet you can figure that out. What is the base of that word? What's a little word that you can hear in that? Taste. And so what do you think their delicate stepping, tense with distaste might mean? It probably means that they don't like it. Very good. Good thinking. Okay? And you think that they're tense with distaste because cats don't like water. Sanaya, I like your thinking. So you asked yourself why the cats might be tense, like Larkin. And then you inferred that it's probably because cats don't like water, which is something that we've already said. I like all of your thinking. I like your questions and your inferences. So now that I think that you guys have the hang of this strategy, I have a poem for each of you to practice with. So you're going to be asking yourself questions and making inferences. Now remember to take note of this author using adjectives and adverbs. In each of your poems, there are going to be adjectives and adverbs. And I want you to let those help you make inferences and help ask questions.